Thank you so much. So honored to be here and so grateful to be here with you 2 weeks in a row, bookending a pivotal moment in human history, the presidential election, and so much more. The reason I want to start with that is we are in a very remarkable moment in the transformation of human consciousness. And I can say that with confidence because every moment is a profound moment in the evolution of human consciousness if I choose that to be true. I appreciate what David was saying about ultimate and relative reality, and that really is the focus of today's talk. My talk is titled Staying Curious in Uncertain Times. And when I say uncertain times, I'm talking about relative reality, that which is always changing on planet Earth, and to be even more bold, never certain as much as we might want it to be certain. But for those of us who have been in New Thought, Ancient Wisdom teachings for any amount of time, we also understand that in the midst of the uncertain external realm, there's a place within us that is infinite potential, that is the absolute essence, God, source, love, light, all those different words we use for the changeless inner dimension. And as we understand, and I don't mean understand, but as we experience our true nature and realize meaning we create this as our reality, that this changeless inner dimension is more powerful than anything happening in the world, everything changes in an instant, or it can take a lifetime. And that is the choice that I am inviting us to take a look at today. Would I like the spiritual journey to be a long journey of evolution, or am I ready for a quantum leap in consciousness? And that quantum leap in consciousness is profoundly simple. Who I am at my core is an infinite spiritual being, a particle of divine nature. And if that's true for me, that is also true for every living being on planet Earth and beyond. And knowing that, not knowing that, but knowing that very deeply, then creates a very different way of not only viewing the world, but also creating what we call reality. And I'm called to share a short reading from my first book, Conscious Being, that relates to today's topic. I'll read this slowly, and I'm going to invite you to sit with the words as I read them, asking yourself not only what do I understand with these words, but what energy do these words hold, and what does it evoke within me as I hear the words and feel the words. Again, this is a reading from my first book, Conscious Being, Awakening to Your True Nature. Moving through stages of spiritual evolution is not always a linear process. My experience is that at one moment, we can be feeling perfectly surrendered, trusting that all is exactly as it should be. And the next, we might be feeling anxiety over an outcome that matters to us. Or we might notice judgmental thoughts arising in our minds. We might have a negative reaction to what someone says to us, and suddenly we are back in a mindset in which we feel powerless over our circumstances. We might feel the need to exert some control, or we might want to let somebody know that they are wrong and we are right. The difference is that we no longer need to take our thoughts seriously. We can choose what we do with them. We have the clarity to see our old reactive mechanism for what it is. We understand that it no longer serves us. We are free to choose a different internal response than in the past. We can return to a more loving, heart-centered perspective within seconds rather than hours, days, or weeks. In other words, we have a choice. And the only moment we can choose is now. And the choice is to understand and recognize that what we have been told by collective consciousness. Everything happens for a reason. I guess I just need to surrender. I need to look for the good in this. I just need to let go. Might not be the deepest story or the deepest possibility, the infinite possibility that exists in every moment. So rather than saying everything happens for a reason, I can say, I create the reason to whatever happens. And the moment I make a decision about what is happening is the creation of the experience of that. And what I'm not saying, I want to be clear, what I'm not saying is let's pretend like things aren't happening and just call everything good. I was involved with a Unity community many years ago that all we talked about was what we called good. But in that only talking about the good, we immediately created duality. So if someone got a diagnosis, they really weren't talking about it. We would say, oh, call it good, cancel, cancel. It was the era of the rubber band around the wrist. Oh, I shouldn't say that. There's a greater possibility. And that possibility is that ultimate reality, the ultimate truth of who and what we are is more powerful than anything happening in the world. And when I understand and anchor in that spirit then affects what we call relative reality. Some call that manifestation. I think there's something a bit deeper happening. We are always choosing, either unconsciously or consciously. Many of us are choosing unconsciously based on the programming, the beliefs, the ideas, the downloads, what we absorb from our family system, from our schools, from our religious organizations. And we've decided that we are limited in some way, or we've decided that we look at the world through the lens of good and bad and right and wrong, rather than recognizing in relative reality, we have opinions about what's happening. But as we know who and what we are, and we are anchored in that knowing, we begin to look at the world through a different lens. And the greatest paradox happens when I understand that I'm an infinite being. I am not broken. I am whole and complete and infinite. When I understand that, I see that everywhere. When I believe I'm broken or damaged or not good enough or not lovable, I see that everywhere. Can it be that simple? I say yes. A perfect example of this in my life is in my 20s, is particularly my early 20s. I absolutely, at a very deep level, believed I was broken and I believed I was unlovable. Now, I know at a deeper level, there was always that place within me that was whole and complete and infinite, but I had at least believed that I had lost touch with that. So I was literally walking around with the vibration of I'm unlovable. And I would walk into a room and I would find that perfect person to confirm that core false belief, but only 100% of the time. And I would say things like, why do I keep attracting unavailable people? Why does this keep happening to me? And at some point, I realized that I was choosing. And I had an opportunity at that moment to look at the program, to look at the ideas that I had absorbed, and to realize that it wasn't even mine. I had decided to believe what my mother, my father, my school teacher, what they were telling me, the preacher, what they were telling me, and I started to absorb that and created that as my own reality. And so I was a powerful creator because I was the creator of my own reality. I thought the world was happening to me, and then I realized I was creating my world based on my lens. And that was both the greatest news and, honestly, if I'm going to be honest, one of the most difficult periods of my life, because I understood I was creating my reality and I really wasn't happy with the reality I saw. So I went into self-criticism and blame. And if I'm honest, that lasted for several years, I'm sure. It's not the world's fault, it's my fault. And then there was this moment where I understood that duality only exists in my mind, that as we've been taught, we live in a polarized country or a polarized world. But in my experience, it's actually that we have been deeply conditioned to have polarized thinking. This is good, this is bad, I am right, and you are wrong. And that's the central or the core disease in humanity. That's what keeps us separate. And at that point, we look to the world to bring us safety, often by building coalitions of people who agree with us. I'll find my tribe, and when I find my tribe, I will be safe. And I understand in the earliest humans, that was absolutely vital, literally for survival. And we now understand that we literally pass that genetic blueprint on from generation to generation. We, though, in New Thought teachings, also understand the power of consciousness and that we can begin to change that blueprint or that imprint, and we can tap into a greater blueprint. And that blueprint is I am literally a particle of divine energy, of source energy. I am infinite. I'm not limited. I'm only limited by what I've absorbed and what I've decided. So, what I'm not saying is let's change the story, let's change our thinking, and let's change our narrative. What I am saying is thank you for sharing. I understand and have compassion for the self that was me that absorbed this. I hold that with such tenderness and have compassion for how I came to these lies about myself based on limitation, lack, and fear. And now I anchor in a greater reality, the reality that I came in as. Love is who I am, source is who I am. I understand that and I realize that has an actual chemicalization. It changes not the narrative, but my relationship to the narrative. And I think this is really important for me because I used to be that person that said, well, I don't know, I just can't meditate. I just can't get my mind to be quiet. I've tried. I've tried to sit and be quiet, but my mind just keeps chattering. And then I heard someone say, the goal of meditation is not to quiet the mind, it's to observe the mind. Oh, I can try that. And as I began to observe my mind, I began to observe just how busy it was, judging everything and everyone in every situation as either desirable or undesirable, good or bad, right or wrong. And as I started to observe, the next question was, if I'm not my thought, who and what am I? Who is that observer? That observer, that essential being, that Buddha nature, that Christ consciousness that observes the mind can then begin to become curious about, which is the topic today, staying curious in uncertain times. Curiosity expands and judgment constricts. So to be curious is to create more connection, to be open, and to wonder, where did I get that thought? What do I experience when I believe the thought, as Byron Katie instructs us? Who would I be without this thought? What would it feel like if I honored a different point of view? What if we're not a polarized country? What if that's what we've been taught? What if I could sit down with someone and look for the commonalities and move beyond agreeing or disagreeing? See, sometimes I think the mind says, well, if I honor that you have a different opinion, that must mean I need to change mine. And instead I say, well, if I'm not my opinions, then neither are you. I have thoughts, but I'm not my thoughts. You have political opinions, but you're not your political opinions. Now, I know someone watching right now or listening said, but wait a minute. There are some serious things happening politically that are vitally important. And yes, but this is what I want to lean into. What gets created when I'm against? What gets created when I say you're wrong and I'm right? Literal war is created from that point of view. All conflict arises from the idea of rightness and wrongness. There's an ancient Taoist reading that says, cling to a hairbreadth distinction of right and wrong, and you suffer. Suffering, which is very different than pain, as we've been told for 2,500 years from Buddha, is this shouldn't be happening. She shouldn't have said that. He shouldn't have gotten elected. My friend should not have voted for someone different than I did. I want to find my tribe of people who agree with me. So we go about building a coalition of people who agree because on some deep cellular level, oh, it's really deep within us, even in our DNA, that we must find people who agree so that we can be safe. And I understand that and have compassion for that. As a matter of fact, I think it has a place. But are we ready to evolve beyond that? Are we ready to move beyond the animalistic reality and step into spiritual beings having a spiritual experience? Am I ready to say it's time to move beyond that? True safety gets created by honoring and recognizing the deeper reality within each living being. Connection gets created by being curious rather than judging. I think I've shared this with this community probably more than once because I tend to repeat myself. But I took a spiritual challenge once to not have an opinion for 30 days. I might have even talked about this last Sunday. And I will tell you, I went about 30 minutes and realized that my mind was constantly judging. But in that same time, I had just been in that period where I was realizing that meditation was about observing the mind instead of quieting the mind. And then I said, oh, it's not about changing my opinion or getting rid of my opinions. It's about observing them for what they are, a thought among thousands or endless possible thoughts I can connect with. So as I move beyond right and wrong and move into curiosity, I can ask, where did this thought come from? What do I experience when I believe it? Is this idea about that person, that political party, that religion, that race group, that gender, is it creating love and connection, or is it creating separation and division? Because it is up to each of us right in this moment to ask ourselves, what world am I creating now? Not from some idea that we need to change the world because something's wrong, but from the knowing that we're here to serve a different paradigm, that for thousands of years we've been living in the paradigm of us and them, and there is nothing wrong with that, but it does create war and conflict. Do I want more war and conflict? Some might say no, but deep down somewhere in the unconscious realm, it's actually a yes. So I invite you to take a look. Is this thought? Is this feeling? Is this vibration bringing love into the world or conflict? Am I ready to move beyond the idea of good and bad and right and wrong and simply ask myself in the silence, what is my soul's yearning? What do I most desire? And is it possible that that's already who and what I am, and that I can actually offer that to the world? Be the change, as we've also been instructed. So, in closing, I want to offer a very, very simple invitation. We take a breath, we ask ourselves, what am I aware of right in this moment? What is my soul's greatest longing and desire? And can I bring that into and infuse every situation with that love? That does not mean I will not feel grief or sadness or even anger or hurt or joy or elation. It means that I welcome it all as part of the spiritual experience. I no longer reject or say this feeling bad, this feeling good. I say, I'm here for it. I have said yes to being born on planet Earth right now. Or maybe I've been assigned to being born on planet Earth right now. Or maybe it's even an accident of some sort. But here we are, and we have a choice. Do I want to contribute to the violence and the separation, even in a thought, a social media post, an email, a bit of gossip? Or do I want to contribute to love? I don't have to pretend that the conditions of the world are any different than they are. I can simply say, in the midst of this, I'm choosing love. And I'm choosing to love even someone who sees the world in a different way. It is no better to be a 63-year-old than to be a 36-year-old or to be a 6-year-old or a 3-year-old. They're all just different stages of development. And the same is true spiritually. This isn't about being better or being good. This is about understanding that it's time, if we're ready to say yes, to usher in a new era in consciousness where we move beyond the programs of division and understand at a very deep level this greater reality that we all intuitively know. A baby doesn't come in hating someone because of the color of their skin or their socioeconomic status or their sexual orientation or their gender. A baby comes in pure, open, and ready. That's still available at every moment. Are you ready to return to that place of infinite beingness and infinite potentiality? I invite you now to ask, am I ready to be love? Am I ready to be light? Am I ready to be joy? Only you can answer, but you have the power to choose right now. Peace and blessings, everyone. So incredibly grateful to be here with you.
Thank you, TJ. I'm going to spotlight you, Jesse.
Thank you, TJ. I needed to hear that. I'm sure that a lot of us are feeling that way. I played the song last time I was here, but I really want to play it again. I feel like it's very pertinent to your talk, so. Every day I love a little deeper. Every day I give a little more. And every day I listen to the whispers of my soul until it becomes a roar. Every day I love a little deeper. And every day I give a little more. And every day I listen to the whisper of my soul until it becomes a roar. And I speak love with my voice. I think love with my mind. And I give love with my hands. And oh, I bring the light. I speak love with my voice. I think love with my mind. I give love with my hands. And oh, I bring the light. Every day I love a little deeper. And every day I give a little more. And every day I listen to the whisper of my soul until it becomes a roar. And now maybe we'll do power. And I speak power with my voice. And I think power with my mind. Or I observe my thoughts and I give love with my hands. And oh, I bring the light. I said I speak power with my voice. And I think power with my mind. I give power with my hands. And oh, I bring the light. And every day I love a little deeper. Every day I give a little more. And every day I listen to the whisper of my soul until it becomes a roar.
Jesse, thank you so much. I want to acknowledge a couple of things real quickly. One is that, you know, we are in a blue state, right? And we're in a progressive area, but there are people in this room on both sides of the political fence, and I just want to really honor all the things that TJ has been saying over the last couple of weeks and all the messages here. I think we're doing, I'm proud of I'm proud of us. And so that sounds trite, but I am, because it's such, where can you begin a conversation and have people that are in the room, in such a small room, that are on different sides of the political fence, right? Most of us being probably have been of the Kamala Harris ilk, and others not. But isn't it beautiful that we are here together, understanding, right, that out beyond ideas of right and wrong, which is a little bit of the flavor of TJ's talk. And I'm going to listen to that talk again. What was that again? TJ, that you said about, was it Sufi or right and wrong? There was something
Oh,
else.
that cling to a hairbreadth distinction of right and wrong, and we suffer.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a commentator named Van Jones, who said, imagine you have made some choices in your life to, let's say, purchase something or look at something, and everything that you receive through your Facebook and through your media outlets and all these things are tuned to assuming you are blue, right? And you're getting the messages, you're getting all the messages, and you aren't even hearing some of the things, you aren't even hearing the things that people over here, let's say, are saying. And what he's saying is, think about the life decisions of, okay, maybe someone 10 years ago in a red state or whatever bought a gun, okay, and they clicked on this link and they watched that channel, and pretty soon their whole conversation is about a whole world of different things, but they're not hearing the things over here, and you're not hearing the things over there. And so each person's viewpoint, their perspective is completely, there can be two truths happening. It cannot be that half of the country is evil, which I think is like, you wake up and for what TJ was saying, it's like, it's kind of what we were taught. You go to a football game and, God is going to make sure that my team gets the touchdown, right? It does not work that way. So this is a mystery we're all figuring out together. We're all figuring out how to be in unity together. I'm proud of us here. Let's continue the work. Let's continue the conversation. I'm going to share my screen for our meditation. So as part of our spiritual practice, let's just be here, just closer to our breath. Just take a deep breath together, using the body as the doorway to all the aspects of us. And as you notice your breathing, just notice how your feeling tone is resonating right now. What kind of energy are you bringing to this spiritual practice? Are you bringing an open mind and an open heart? Are you resisting anything? Are you bringing sadness to anything? Which is totally fine. Whatever you're feeling, just let that be honored. If you're bringing joy, bring joy. And just be aware of how the body is holding these things. And if you'd like to dismiss any of these feelings for now, if you'd like to release any of these feelings now, just maybe just invite any tension that is there in your shoulders or your back or your neck to float out. And now I'm focusing on this second and third chakra area, which is the power center, the center of creation, the center of so many emotions. It's so close to the heart space, and it's also so close to the survival space of the chakra. Let's just maybe be aware of our breath opening that area. Bringing golden or orange light to that area. And now I'm thinking about the phrase that Unity Worldwide used as its annual theme a few years ago, which was infinite possibilities and unlimited potential. And so I'm going to breathe into that awareness, infinite possibilities and unlimited potential. As I breathe, I'm just going to become aware of the brightness of the gold and the red like fire embers in my root chakra, and the yellow in my sacral chakra up near the navel, just glowing and radiating, where I'm feeling this personal power, fortifying. Breathing into that. And if you'd like to open your eyes and gaze at the picture for the remainder of our meditation, you'll notice that each of those flames that the ladies are putting out into the water, I believe this may have been for Diwali, the Festival of Light. Each one of those has the first chakra red, the second chakra orange, the third chakra beautiful, brilliant gold and yellow. And it's floating on a sea of the fourth and fifth chakra colors. Just noticing the colors that the ladies are wearing are tending towards blue. And so I'm imagining my energy coming up now to intuition. So maybe breathe from that third eye space. And some people say that's purple, and some people say it's just a brilliant indigo. So I'm honoring this intuitive space. And TJ talked about something last week that we talk about in Unity called the absolute realm. And so it's from this absolute realm that it gives powers to our upper chakras. It gives, as Ernest Holmes would say, it undergirds all things. It's the back of all things. It's behind all things. this absolute unchanging realm. And in front of us, with our physical eyes, we're seeing the relative realm. And so I share this simple concept that healing is absolutely happening right now, regardless of what it may look like, depending on what side of the political fence you're on. Healing is absolutely happening right now. And in this realm, I'm a co-creator of that healing as I choose to manifest, or as TJ says, radiate the energy that comes from the absolute realm, the changeless realm, of which light is the only constant and love is the only constant. So it's from this place in unity that we say that divine ideas, love, harmony, wisdom, abundance in all things, solutions, it's from this space of light and love that all things spring forth into the relative realm. In other words, we've chosen to be here at this place, at this time, in this particular election cycle, in this particular cycle of climate change, in this particular time of state of war or not war, peace or not peace. We've chosen to be here at this particular time as a participant and a creator. So I call this process blessed. Let's just meditate for about 30 seconds on these colors that symbolize our spiritual progression all the way from the bottom to the top. As we breathe. So I close our meditation with having us think about the color that combines all colors, which is white, which is the color that we think of when we think of starlight. And I'm just imagining each one of us as those flickering stars, full of infinite potential and unlimited possibilities. And so it is.